Welcome to another episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida. I'm Krista McCary, and I'm here with your host.
Janine Corcoran, broker for Corcoran Connect, a real estate company.
And it is already May of 2022, which I can't believe how fast the year is going.
Oh my gosh. Can you believe it? Before you know it, it's going to be Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas.
I'm not ready. And so with it being the beginning of a new month, let's go ahead and talk about what happened in the real estate market in St. Cloud, Florida in April of 2022. So what are you seeing going on?
So it looks like we always start by zip codes, since St. Cloud has quite a few. So in 34769, we actually had 41 total sold in the month of April. And we always like to separate single stories versus two stories because, as you know, if you've been listening before, they are apples and oranges. The appraiser does not appraise a single story against a two-story in general. So we had 37 one-stories that sold, and the price per square foot is $221.77. And as usual, four two-story sold, and the price per square foot was less at $174.55. And that's what I meant as usual, meaning that the two stories always sell, as according to all the stats we ever pull, at a lower price per square foot.
Mm-hmm. And just so you know, they're still increasing in 34769. That's about a 4% increase for our one-story homes, and that was actually a 59% increase on our two-story homes. But I'm sure that there was an outlier last month that kind of like threw things, a little wonky to be such a big difference. But regardless, 34769 is still increasing, and they actually almost doubled their sales for the month of April compared to March. They had 25 sales in March and 41 this past month. So 34769 is really rocking right now.
Yeah, that's really good. And right now in 34769 we have only 32 actives and 70 pendings.
Wow.
And that's
that whole bad. Like downtown area basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of historic downtown St. Cloud. So that's a crazy still low inventory. So we'll be dealing with that for a little while, I think. All right, so what about 34771? Because that's like always going gangbusters. That's like
34771. I have three pages here. So we had always 34771 as you know includes coming out of Lake Nona, not Lake Nona, but coming into St. Cloud or Narcoossee, and it even includes turning left on 192, down Nova Road, that whole Bay Lake area. So it's pretty wide zip code, and we had 71 sales. 46 of them were single stories and 25 were two stories. So on the single stories, they sold $249.50 price per square foot, and the two stories sold at $188.67 a square foot.
That's great. And those, again, both were increases. It was 5% for the one-story homes and 2% for the two-story homes. And the number of sales was pretty much very similar, 75 last month, 71 this month. So, okay. Pretty average for that.
Yeah, it's still the most active zip code. There's so much construction going on down there.
Right.
Right now, there's 96 actives and 247 pending.
Wow. Yeah. That's a lot. That is a lot.
Yep, it is.
All right, and then what's in 34772?
Okay, so 34772, for all of you folks that are out in the Manor, that area, we actually had 43 solds last month. 28 of them were single stories, 15 were two stories. Price per square foot on the single story was $235.79, and on the two story was $192.10. Again, single stories brings more price per square foot for those folks who care to use that stat. That is always the way. And there's more of a demand, wouldn't you say, just in general?
I would say, yeah. But, the other thing is, too, you got to think, we talk about it all the time. In Harmony, we have different sections, right? So you have your more average size homes, and then you have your big, very large custom homes. And those always bring a smaller price per square foot just because the amount of square footage, right? So, like, a single story can only be so big usually in communities. Yeah. So you're going to top out at 2,000 square feet or 2,500 square feet.
Yeah, they use a bigger footprint.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas a two story could be on the same size lot, could be a 4,000 square foot home. So your price per square foot's probably going to, change a little bit. But I do think that there is a demand for a higher demand for single story homes. They're very desirable.
Definitely.
Very desirable.
definitely.
And both of those actually increased again, 3% for the 1-stories. So 3% on the 1-stories and 8% on the 2-story homes. It did get a little bit slower this past month in terms of number of homes closed. We had 69 in March compared to 43 in April. So what do they have? Do you have pending numbers there?
Yeah, so we have 47 active and 106 pending.
Okay. So it might just
Yeah.
be some that, just didn't get closed in April. So.
Yeah, possibly. And then we have our sleeper zip code.
It really
Very
is.
quiet in 34773,
Yeah.
which includes Harmony and then goes down to Hollapaw. And so we had 13 properties that sold. 9 were single stories. 4 were 2 stories. Your single story was only at 198.42, and your 2 stories were at 176.93.
Wow. And so this was the only zip code that saw a slight decrease in their overall price per square foot numbers. Now, again, this does include the community of Harmony. It includes some of the new construction, anything that's entered into the MLS. And it also includes Hollapaw. So I think these numbers tend to, because the products are so different, they tend to skew from month to month. But the 1-stories decreased 2.5% and the 2-stories decreased 19%. So again, I think it's just a matter of, different products that were in this month versus last month.
And then we have 17 active and 72 pending.
That's awesome. So there, definitely things are moving along, but it is the sleeper zip code, as you say. It's always got the least amount going on over here. I think people come here to live for a long time.
That's true. That's true.
All right. And then we have vacant land. So what happened with okay. And by the way, we would like to apologize for last month's vacant land listings. I don't know what happened, but the acreage was off on a lot of things. So I think that was corrected for the website, but just, we have more accurate numbers this month. So what's going on?
It's interesting because on MLS, you get to set up your own search criteria. So normally MLS, you do a search and you get everything about the property. And so normally when we do reports, we pull in the data from MLS. It comes automatically, and we specifically ask for specific things like, the address, the sold price, the list price, how many bedrooms, the MLS number, whatever. And then on the land, I pulled in the acreage. But for some reason, the data, because I checked it when it came in this month, I was like, what is going on? I don't even know where that data is coming from.
Right.
So there's a glitch, something with the Stella MLS system. So I actually had to go back in and actually one by one look at every property and write down and change the numbers because I had something glitchy's going on. I have to call them and figure out what's...
Good thing it was only 21.
Yeah, I know.
21
well, yeah,
pieces of
I don't know
vacant
what I
land
would have
sold.
done. Yeah, so the only 21 pieces of land sold, and then every one of them sold for cash.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't even see that. Oh, no, there's one conventional.
Was it one? Oh,
The
yeah, I see
fourth one down.
Yep.
Okay.
So
But
one.
everything else was cash, which is absolutely bonkers. So what was it looks like the highest price sold was off of Canoe Creek Road. It was $1,065,000 for 16.57 acres. So that was our biggest one there. And then our least expensive, it's going to be out in the Hollapaw Groves area. So that's, your 4,500, 5,000 in those price ranges there.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's good. It's just the land's still selling. That's a hot commodity these days, folks.
it is. It really is. That's my next bet. I'm going for a piece of property.
There's only so much land.
Yeah. Better get it while you can. So that's great. And, this is great numbers. It's good to see the market's still healthy. I do think that we're still dealing with a little bit of, a lack of inventory, lack of homes, particularly now affordable homes. Lower priced homes. It's harder to find and get those first time home buyers in. So we'll see.
Especially with the interest rates, now. The interest rates, and folks, I know it seems high for those, younger folks. It seems crazy high, but it's, you look at historically, it's really not that high.
No.
I mean, houses even sold way back when in the 18%.
Right.
So it's all relative. But I still feel like those first time home buyers just keep getting pushed out.
Right. Right. I think my first house that I bought, my mortgage rate was 6%. and it was
Okay.
low then.
That was, I remember that when it gets 6, then it was like 5. It was like,
Right.
ooh, it's
Right.
5%.
Yeah. And so when I, complained, on my 4.5 interest rate, I'm like, really though? Like, come on, let's be grateful that we're not in the 80s and it's not 18%. And
Right.
then it would be really unaffordable. So,
And just generally, and I don't know why this is, but in Florida, our interest rates are higher. So when you look at the national average, Florida's always higher. I'm not
right.
sure.
Because we're in the sixes now, right? Or flirting
Yeah.
with the sixes from
Yep.
the lenders that we've talked to.
Yeah.
So it's, it's creeping up there.
But they're trying to come out with some programs. I talked about, I met with one of our mortgage people, and they're coming out with different, available programs out there, like maybe like a 10-1 arm.
Right.
Like arms are back.
Right.
I don't remember 10-1. I was always 5-1,
Yeah.
but now they're talking about
Well,
10-1.
they're trying to buy themselves some more time, because maybe had they ridden it out for 10 years, it wouldn't have been so bad.
Right. They wouldn't have had that problem.
Yeah.
So then, when you go with that, that's an adjustable rate, and it's connected to prime. And of course, you have that amount of years, so you kind of fluctuate every year, and
Right.
then until you have to either refinance or
Or sell. And they figure most people probably sell within that 10 year
years, yeah.
time frame.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, so
We'll
I
see.
have to do something.
Yeah, we'll see.
to do
We'll
something.
keep our eyes on the market, and kind of reading the pulse and seeing how. I'm going to be curious to see how interest rates start to affect. Some of these houses that were under contract probably already have rates locked, so they're not as affected as people that are going under contract now. So it'll be curious to see how, as we move through the summer, what impact that has on the actual housing market and prices overall. Sales, it might help solve some of our inventory problem.
Absolutely.
But so we'll see. We'll keep an eye out on it. But thanks so much for joining us for this week's episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida.
We're glad you're following.
Yes,
For
thank you.
those of you that are.
Actually, I have to know. I want to know where people are listening from, because I look at the statistics and somebody must be using a VPN, because there's people in other countries, and I'm like, who's listening in Germany? If
Right,
you're in
doesn't make
Germany,
sense.
let me know.
And a lot of people, like I ran into a neighbor, actually they're from New York, and then he was so funny because he was telling his wife, she had asked a question, and he turned around, he's like, don't you know? And he started giving all information about you. And I looked at him, I said, you really do listen. But he listens on YouTube. He watches everything. He doesn't watch television. He watches YouTube.
Right.
And he says, oh, it's great. I said, well, could you comment? Well, I sent you a text. I said, no, can you comment publicly?
Right.
Like we know you're listening?
That'd be nice. So let us know where you're listening from, because I really genuinely want to know. I want to see what's working, what's not working. If you guys enjoy these video podcasts, you can see our little idiosyncrasies, the way we kind of shoot looks at each other, etc. That's great. But just let us know where you're listening from. If you ever have any questions about St. Cloud or any topics that you'd like us to cover, go ahead and give us a call at 1-844-St. Cloud. It's STCLOUD. I'll leave the number in the description below. As always, you can find the market reports on our website, corcoranconnect.com. Go to communities, find St. Cloud, and the market reports will be there. And if you have any other suggestions for us, you can also email us at discoverstcloud@gmail.com.
Yep.
And so thanks.
It's good you remember all that.
I'm really trying. And I haven't had enough coffee this morning, but
Yes.
thanks so much for joining us, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.